Welcome back to my kitchen, Gigi's Kitchen, where we get to learn all about prepping and cooking and dining and just having a general good time. I just wanted to take a quick moment to have a visit with all of you out there that are visiting my kitchen and learning new recipes and trying out new processes. So I think it's time that I just spill the tea and tell you there is no such thing as a 15-minute meal. I'm so sorry to tell you that. I wish there was. But by the time you've gone shopping and brought your groceries home, and then you got them back out to prep them, and then you went to process them, and then you put them on the stove to cook them, and then you plated them, and then you served them, and then you cleaned up all the kitchen after it's all done, will be more than 15 minutes. I wish I could do all of that in 15 minutes, but it doesn't happen. But I am going to show you some tips and some preps that hopefully will help you scale down your time. But we're going to talk about a little bit of prep today, and we're going to make some chicken piccata. Now, piccata is a sauce. It's a wonderful sauce. It's lemon and garlic, wine and butter, all of those ingredients pulled together, made into a sauce. And then we put that sauce on lots of things. You can put it on chicken, you can put it on pork, you can put it on salmon, or you can just put it on pasta. And so it's very, very versatile. Now, as I said, it's a sauce. And we're going to make that sauce with some basic ingredients. In the description box, I have given you the recipe for one batch. We're making a double batch today because we want to freeze it. And I'm not going to just cook one batch and freeze it. I'm going to double batch it so I have two opportunities in the future to have piccata. So this is 2 cups of chicken stock. Now I did use bouillon, so it is salty. Therefore I will not be adding salt to the recipe. You can also use salt-free broth that you can get in this box. You can make your own chicken broth if you have time. That's wonderful. I did not. It also has 1 cup of freshly squeezed lemon juice. And I think that's a step that you can't miss. You really do need to squeeze your lemon juice. The lemon juice you get in a jar, or the little plastic lemons in the store, just don't have the flavor that to carry on the lemon flavor that this is known for. It also has in here 1 cup of dry white wine. I would use Pinot Grigio or Sauvignon Blanc. I would stay away from an oaky Chardonnay or anything sweet. It also has in here our capers, which I have 4 tablespoons of capers in here because it's a double batch. And this is ready to go. I have 4 tablespoons of butter, 2 medium shallots chopped, 2 garlic cloves pressed. I have the rind of 1 lemon, 4 tablespoons of seasoned flour. Now this is the same flour that I used to dread the chicken breasts in. So it's basically flour with a little salt and pepper and our non-salt seasoning blend in here. I have 6 chicken cutlets. Now you can buy them already sliced if you want. That saves time, or you can slice them, but you can see how thin they are. And I've already dredged them in flour and laid them here so they're ready to go. I also will be using olive oil in the pan. Here's my olive oil, Athena's gift. It was so nice of them to offer this to me, give it a go. And I really do like it. It's made by the Piccatta family in Central California. I'll put the contact information on the description box. It's 100% extra virgin olive oil. She has a small orchard that she grows her own olives. She has several different varieties. You can always catch her at the farmer's market there in Modesto. Anyway, look her up. She's got great olive oil. This is what we're going to use to fry our chicken in. So, here we are. This is our piccata. This is how I freeze it. I freeze it in freezer bags, put it in there. This was made in August and put in the freezer. So this is what we're actually going to cook our chicken in when we get to that point. But in the meantime, we're going to make sauce. So, let's So as you can see in this skillet, I've already started browning off the chicken breast. So I'll just let those go for a few minutes. This is just a little bit of the olive oil that's put in here. And in the back skillet, you can see where I've put our block of piccata, our frozen piccata there. What I'm going to do is put the lid back on that. I'm going to put it on my simmer burner, or your burner, and turn it on very low, and put the lid back on it, and then just kind of let it melt down. Now I put this lid on here kind of at an angle to help keep the popping from the grease popping everywhere. Basically that's what it's for. You don't have to do that. If you have one of those screens to put on your skillet, those are really nice. But I don't use one. I had one for a long time, but I don't know what happened to it. So we'll let that go. Turn on our simmer button. And let that piccata sauce start melting down. Alright, these are good. Just gonna turn them over. And I don't, as you notice, I don't pound my chicken breast. You can, if you want. It just takes more time, and chicken is usually pretty tender. And by the time we get done braising it, it'll tender right up anyway. But if you want it thinner, you could pound it. You could also cut it into chunks so that you can toss it in the skillet and then toss it into the pasta. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to take these out, put them on a plate, and just kind of set them aside. We're going to go ahead with our other 3 more chicken breasts. Now, one thing that I want to talk about piccata is that a lot of times the recipes will call for a pan sauce, whereas basically a pan sauce is whatever's on the bottom of the pan. You might add a little wine and a little butter to it. You stir it all up, let it kind of reduce a little bit, and then you pour it over your chicken, which is all good and wonderful, and it tastes wonderful. But for my family, that wouldn't be enough sauce. We like our sauce saucy. We like a lot of sauce. So I'm going to show you how to make a large batch of piccata sauce so that you'll have enough to coat all your chicken and your pasta and some to dip your bread in. It's going to be really good. So we're going to flip this chicken breast right here, and then we're going to get on with our sauce. Let those cook for a little while longer. See how our pasta water is doing back there? It's coming along just fine. I always like to have a pot holder on top of my hot lids because you go to pick them up and they can get really hot on you. So why do we do this? Brown off this chicken. You know, you think, let's just put it in the sauce. Well, all of that browning you see that's in the bottom of the pan right there, that's flavor. And if we didn't brown the chicken, we wouldn't get that flavor. And that would not help to intensify the flavor of our sauce. So we need to brown it off so we can build fond. which builds flavor. And it looks like we've got some good flavor on the bottom of this pan. So, stack that right in there. And all of that good olive oil, I still have a good layer of olive oil that'll go back into the sauce when the time comes on my chicken. So we're going to set that aside. I'm going to try to leave about a tablespoon of olive oil in the bottom of the pan. So there we go. And see all of this? I'm going to leave that to it. Now I'm going to turn this flame off for a minute, just because I want it to cool down a bit. And while that's cooling, let's take a look at our piccata. This has just been on a low simmer for what, maybe 3, 6, maybe 8 minutes or so. And look at that, it's ready to go. All we have to do is add our chicken back into that, cook our pasta, and we have sauce. It's ready to go, straight out of the freezer, ready. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take our chicken, put it back in this skillet because this is the one that we want, and then I'm going to finish showing you how to make this sauce. All the chicken goes back in, and it gets submerged in there, and then the lid goes back on, and all that good olive oil and drippings go back in there. And I'm going to let that simmer a good 10 minutes at least. I'm going to pull this back over here. Now we're going to continue making piccata sauce. So I just have olive oil in here right now. But I'm going to add to this. Now remember, we're doing a double batch. So I've got my 4 tablespoons of butter. Turn my burner back on. I'm going to put it to be about a medium because I do not want to scorch my butter. I'm going to melt this down. And that's what this sauce is all about. Butter, lemon, garlic, a little bit of everything. And I'm going to turn this simmer burner down. Ooh, that looks good. Alrighty. Now we're getting ready to saute this onions and garlic in here, and then we're going to make a roux. Just like when we made the roux for our pork schnitzel gravy. Same thing, only this time our fat is butter and olive oil. So there we go. And making this roux, then I'll be able to add the stock, and then I will have it cook down and become thick and creamy. We'll deglaze the pan. Now I don't want this to brown and make brown butter. I want the cream butter. And here is my flour. And remember, our stock that's going in needs to be cold. I'm going to let this cook down a minute or two and let that flour cook off so it won't be pasty. Just let it cook, and while that's doing its thing, I'm going to add my pasta. And I like to help push my pasta down into the pot. Get it going so that it won't stick together. Do not add olive oil because you want your sauce to stick to the pasta. If you add olive oil or any kind of oil, it will not stick. Alright, that looks good. Ready to deglaze and add our stock. 4 cups of liquid. And there goes all our capers in. And we're going to let this come to a simmer We're going to keep stirring and break all that brown fawn off the bottom of the pan. There we go. And then we're going to let this come to a good simmer. Let it get good and thick. Then we'll set it aside, let it totally cool, and we'll divide it in half, because remember this is 4 cups. So then 2 cups will go in one Ziploc bag, 2 cups will go in another Ziploc bag, and then to the freezer it goes. Turn the flame up on my piccata a little bit. Oh yeah, that's coming along really nicely. When I go across the bottom, I don't feel hardly any little bumps. It's very smooth. You can feel it when you run your spoon across it where the fond has not come loose yet. And you can help it along or give it some time and it will come loose. Now see, this is a lot of sauce. If I was just making a pan sauce, I wouldn't have enough. My family would be like, Mom, what happened to the sauce? So it's all a matter of preference. If you just want to do the pan sauce, that's fine too. It tastes really good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, we like a lot of sauce. Forgot to add in the lemon rind, so I'm going to go ahead and just dump those in now. They do add a little bit of extra lemon flavor when the oil comes off. They get hot and the oil releases from the rinds. You don't have to leave them in there. Some people will leave them and make them look real pretty. I usually take them out before I serve it. And so, but you can already see how thick this is already getting. It's starting to coat my spoon really nicely. Also, when I'm cooking pasta, I always read the label on the box or the package to see the recommended time. This linguine said about 10 minutes if you for al dente. An extra couple minutes if you want it more tender. And there goes my sauce starting to boil up. I'm going to break it down so it won't boil. And let it keep going. That looks so good. And look, it's almost done. Now I'm pretty sure this is right where I need it to be. Oh, that looks so yummy. Now we could taste it and add our salt and pepper to it if we wanted to. But since it's going to the freezer, I will salt and pepper it on the next round. I think this sauce is ready to go. It looks excellent. It's just what I wanted. And we will take it off of the stove and set it aside and allow it to cool. Once it's cooled, we will bag it and put it in the freezer. Because this is the one we're eating for dinner tonight. Oh yeah. Yummy. Now we have sauce. Now I will say that we're going to jazz this up just a little bit. My friend who loves pork and chicken piccata, and he likes to have it just like when he goes to his favorite restaurant. I'm going to fix this up a little jazzy just for Mike. And basically what it is that it is added a little bit of asparagus tips, some black olives, and some dried tomatoes in there. We're going to stir all that in, let it simmer up a little bit. Now you can leave it plain if you want. You can add asparagus. You can do whatever. Take it a different route, but this is the way he likes it, and I do too. After I tried it, first I was like, I'm not so sure about all that. But then once I did it, I was like, oh man, that's really good. The asparagus brings out a nice brightness to it with the lemon, and the olives are real salty, just like the capers and the chicken stock. The sun-dried tomatoes kind of add a little punch. And on top of that, it just looks pretty. Now you get to choose which route you want to go, okay? Because here we are, we're all simmering. Turn my burner back on, put it on low, and let it simmer a little bit longer. So you can do it one of two ways, and it's your choice, however you like to do it. You can take the pasta and strain it, and then put it straight in here. I don't like to take my pasta from here to here because I'm going to dilute my sauce down. You can do that if you make your pasta al dente. Now, my family likes the pasta on the bottom, the chicken next, or whatever your protein is, and then the sauce drizzled all over everything. So it's layered. And the only way I can tell if pasta is done is if I take a bite of it. So I always grab a little strand, and it is hot, and I taste it. I'm going to let that go for about 1 or 2 more minutes, just enough time to let that asparagus cook. And then we'll be ready to plate it. Now I'm going to drain my pasta, put it back in the pan, bring it back to the stove. I am going to sauce it a little bit, just to keep it from sticking. So I'm going to take a little bit of my sauce, I'm going to drizzle it in here. So we're going to get some pasta here, and sometimes I just let it be and let everybody come and pick up what they want. Whoops. Fill their bowl. Sometimes I've got some that don't even want the pasta. All they want is the chicken and the sauce. And then a piece of French bread to dunk it all in, or crusty Italian loaf. Then a piece of chicken, and then some sauce. Make sure you get plenty of those asparagus in there. And here's you some nice Jazzey, saucy chicken piccata, ready to go. Put a little bit of fresh grated parm on the top, and some cracked black pepper. So now you can make a double batch, put it in the freezer, and you know how to take it from there. You can do this. See you next week. Bye.